Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to what would be the last day of the group stage of the League of Legends Game Changers Rising. I'm your host, AC, and what a desk we have for you today. Directly to my left is SIM, and all the way over there is Mr. Rev to bring you all the action all the way up until we get into the Summoner's Rift. And I want to start it off with SIM. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Oh, we're doing completely fine. I'm just kind of hyped that we're already at the last day of this group stage, and then after today we can look forward towards potential tiebreakers, also like what the rest of the competition is gonna bring, like how everything will unravel slowly but steadily.
Yeah, and how are you doing, Rev? We're back on desk together. What a thing, what a time to be alive.
Yeah, finally, I was having thoughts of being retired already, but they told me like one last chance with AC. Of course I'm gonna be here, and okay, not AC, but Game Changers is
come on.
very exciting for me. I'm finally back here in the female team, and I'm ready to backseat over Sun.
Absolutely lovely. Now, we did have a couple of games yesterday. Best of ones, as all the group stage has been going thus far. Blue Waters versus G2 Hell ended in a G2 Hell slaughter. But on the other side of the arena, Solari Academy versus Vitality. SIM, what is going on with Vitality, man? A 50-minute slobber knocked her into a big L, making Vitality's run 0-3.
I don't really know what to say there either. Like, this game is, of course, it was a really great content game is what I wanted to say. But first we had like a small clip of the other game. Vitality Rising Bees, they had a really good run during Equal Esports Cup. They actually managed to get out of group stage there as well as one of the few teams to get a game of G2 Hell. But what happened afterwards, like after the defeat against Solari and the fact that they didn't make it to the finals in EEC, it feels like it's just a different team that has walked up, even though it's not like they're playing poorly, they just have difficulties closing out games. And then you play against Solari in this case, that was one of the teams that beat you earlier during EEC as well and did manage to get to finals. Well, they at the very least still have their form, and with this win make it to themselves that they are going through to the next stage of this tournament.
We're also waiting on one more game from this Group A, which is G2 Hell versus Galleon Scroll, the game that got delayed. It's coming up live and direct into your faces on the 4th of October. So make sure you put it on your schedule so we don't forget it. It is a best of one, and it goes by like a flash. Now, the games for today, we have two best of one. It is a stacked match. It's going to be SK Avarosa, who have been looking back onto, like, they've looked like they've come back into shape, but their opponent for today is going to be Eterna. And Rev, tell me a little bit. And we have SK Avarosa here. SK have been looking good. They start off really, really well, and a little bit of a bumpy game up against Solari, but could they have a chance against Eterna, who are currently undefeated?
I mean, we were having this discussion in the green room as well, right? Did they start off well, or did they play versus Vitality Rising Bees? Because it sounds a little bit flamey, but as SIM said, Vitality Rising Bees is not that they're playing poorly, it's just that they kind of lose the ball throughout the game. So SK is a team with very, very experienced players. Trez is there, Apollonia is there. There are players that do know how to pick up those rebounds, and they know how to slam dunk in your face. It's the starting point I'm very worried for them, because yes, Trez is back in action, but Empress was so important when she was in the team in moving the game forward through those early stages, and maybe that's what's missing. Now, Eterna, for me, they're the big breakout of the tournament. Yes, I'm very excited to see Delicate finally succeed, but I did not have any expectations for that team. I did not know how are they going to perform, because, you know, there's also a mixed bag over there. There are two NA players, and you know, you have to adapt to each other's different cultural differences as well, and how you communicate, because there is that saying that here in the EU we're more flamey and NA players can really handle it. And I'm very, very happy to see them working so well. Of course, there's a big coaching staff behind them that helps them succeed, but I want them to actually be challenged. And I think if SK Avarosa today has woken up with a good mood, they are the ones to actually put the challenge to Eterna and make them prove that they are here to win.
But that is actually something that makes it more insane as well, right, Rev? Because you are saying now that there are maybe some differences within a team like Eterna, but they are 2-0 thus far. They are a team that, even though they are not in the same group as a team like G2 Hell, it looks like they might be finally a contender for a team like G2 Hell, like we haven't seen in a while, at least during this year when G2 Hell is really stepping up in multiple forms of divisions. So now that we have a team like Eterna, with these cultural differences apparently internally, but they can still make it work, it makes it all the more insane of a story that this team might actually do the thing that we've hoped on for so long, and that is bring a challenge to, like, maybe even the big bad guys or like the big bad girls in this scenario of G2 Hell.
Yeah,
Right, and
sure.
they've been looking great for 2025 G2 Health thus far, but Eterna they came out of nowhere. Like you said, they have 2 NA players, they play on 150 plus ping, and it's funny because, well, first and foremost, we got to talk about the head-to-head. Mid lane is going to be the lane to watch here, if I'm not mistaken, between SK Avarosa and Eterna. It's been looking incredible, and honestly, considering that the NA players from Eterna are on top and support, it hasn't been hindering all that much, because ever since they came up on group stage, they've been completely undefeated, only dropping one game on the finals that they also won, and it was against Zaren's Bloom.
Yeah, I mean, and we see that Zernsblom on the other side is struggling right now, but Eterna has been rising, and I think that's going to slam shut every doubters of a coaching staff face, because there are people right now. It's a very common discussion lately that what does a coach really do in League of Legends? That they don't know the game as well as the players. They don't play. They're just there backseating. They're like glorified caster or whatever. But no, you see that they help the team improve. They help the team adapt, and they help the team stay coherent as a unit, especially in those cases where maybe I'm just guessing right now, because there are those rumors, there are all those cultural differences, and they don't seem to hurt Eterna at all. Now on the other side, SK Avarosa, maybe they need to add a couple people there to their coaching staff, maybe because they have the tools, they have the parts that could make their team great, but they've been stumbling so hard throughout 2025.
They have Nice Guy Ben now. He was the last guy that was added to the coaching staff, and he actually fills in the role that you've been talking about. On week 1, I guarantee you, I think it was with SIM we were talking about this, but Nice Guy Ben was a guy that people were just saying that he was one of the coaches that to watch out for on SK Avarosa's side. Now, if we're talking about coaching staff, however, like you were saying, Eterna Eterna in this case are affiliated with one of the top orgs in NASIM.
They are indeed affiliated to FlyQuest, and they've even made broad statements in the sense that if they make it to finals, FlyQuest will pay for everything to fly the players out to Paris. So if you didn't know that already, here you go. This is some extra information to maybe become a new fan of Eterna, like this new org that is rising so quickly through the ranks and is now already putting their sights upon a potential finals in Paris. But therefore, before that even happens, they have to make it through a game like this. And we just saw the head-to-head between mid lane, and I think like one of the interesting stats that we saw here is that there is maybe more of a roamy playstyle coming out from Apollonia. We see that she has more kill participation in comparison to her direct opponent right now, maybe a little bit less CS, so that to me tells me that you want to take more rotations to help the rest of the team and not necessarily are focused on getting all the minions, getting all the EXP, but you just want to play the game out as a team. So I'm wondering whether the champion that is selected for her today will bring exactly the same result as it does for like a team like Eterna, where we saw Sashi in the graphic. Insane carry performances just far. Like we've seen a Wei, we've seen a Yone, a lot of CS on there, gold leads all over the map, and therefore you can also just dish out a lot of damage. So Sashi also maybe more in the spotlight, as in, can she just keep Apollonia hostage in lane, and therefore disable the roaming potential, and just make the lane her own? Just get complete domination over on that mid lane.
Could that be a thing? Because domination in the mid lane is the name of the game here for this match against SK Avarosa. Now, this would be the last chance of these teams if they want to kind of avoid a tiebreaker scenario where it's not going to be a fun tiebreaker scenario, because if it's a two-way tiebreak, if we need to do a two-way tiebreak, we're going to decide on the head-to-head. But if we have a three-way tie between these teams, well, I have to tell you, we will have to play an additional best-of-1 match in a round-robin format amongst these teams. And Rev, how fair is this?
I mean, I don't know. I would love to have them play a separate little group, but it would take a lot more time. You know, one more match in between all of them, or make a free for all. I don't know. Put them in an extraction map and have whoever extracts first.
What?
That's the one getting the place.
Where are we going?
But sometimes it is fair because if you play it better throughout the group, if you have some stats like better win time, then you should be the one getting the slight advantage. And you know what? It's one day. Be better on that day. That's all that's asked for you. I know it's a lot of weight to be put on just a single factor at the end of the day, and I'm putting it very simplistically, but just be better. You have to be better. It's a competition, and competitions are decided on the game days, not on paper.
I also hope they have like some extra rules with these tiebreakers, because if we're just going to be playing a second round robin and everyone just like one owes the other in like a rock paper scissors kind of way, we can just go into infinity. Like at that point it will never end.
No. You keep cooking. I kind of
Rock, paper, scissors between League of Legends teams? Why not? You throw in a Malphite, you throw in a Gwen, and you throw in...
just don't throw in a Shyvana with a Malphite.
A Shyvana with Malphite? Why not? Hey, we do have an exclusive interview for you guys. We had the pleasure of talking to Virtuosa all the way from Eterna on NA, and we asked her, what was it like playing on an European tournament with such high ping?
The East Coast. I'm located in kind of like right in the middle of the US. So my thing is like about 125 to Europe. So it's pretty high. Luckily, I do play support. I think that has to be like one of the largest saving graces for me, because I just couldn't imagine myself playing ADC. I tried playing some Senna in US solo queue, and I love playing Senna. She's always been one of my like favorite range supports, but she is so difficult to play on ping, and I just couldn't really imagine myself playing an entire split on 120 ping. But yeah, definitely it was a hard adjustment at first, but nowadays I hardly even notice it. Even on champions that I thought were more mechanical, like my Nico or my Elise, I always felt like I was kind of scared to pick them just because high ping. But hopefully I was able to prove that during our first 2 weeks that even with the ping, I'm still able to do pretty well on those champions that are a little bit more mechanical. And so I definitely feel myself gaining a lot of confidence. And even just through all the scrims, I really just don't really notice it anymore.
So, according to Virtuosa, playing with high ping is a matter of confidence. So stop complaining if you're playing with 50 or 60 ping. It's a you problem. Trust us. Now, she does say that one of her favorite champions is Senna. Playing in such a high ping setting could be difficult, especially playing with a ranged support like that. But could we still expect to see some of these more comfortable picks from Virtuosa coming in from Eterna on such an important game and against SK Avarosa, Rev?
I mean, Senna, I don't see it. I love Senna. Everybody who has spoken to me more than 2 times, they know that I'm a Senna connoisseur and a Senna propagandist. But no, because you have to adjust the whole game plan for it. Now, I'm throwing here a very, very hot take. Even though she's playing on 150 ping, you can play Blitzcrank. Because Blitzcrank in competitive is more a prediction pick than it is a raw skill pick. Like, you don't have to aim at the enemy player, you have to aim at the enemy player where you think they'll be in a second. So anyways, 150 ping doesn't influence that much, and if you want to have something that will, I don't know, show your confidence to the rest of the world and tell them, hey, I'm just better. I mean, I know this is a female tournament, but I am him, so just go for the Blitzcrank.
But what about Leona?
Nah, because you can walk in the enemy team and just smug them with your shield, so that's whatever.
Yeah, but you're walking in. You already have the queue up. SIM, want to jump in on this? I don't know. This seems like a fun
Well, like-
discussion to have around support roles.
To me, it's more like playing on high ping is always like difficult because you basically need to play like you are Swain IRL. You have to be at least 5 steps ahead on your opponent to make sure that everything that they're gonna do is gonna plan out the way that you expect it, and then you play into that. But it also makes me wonder, like, how will that change if they actually make it to the stage like in Paris, because when you're playing offline, you're suddenly going from really high ping to really low ping in a tournament setting, which can also just completely catch you off guard, because now you have to predict things, then you can actually play on your reaction time, which is something you're not used to at that point. So that's also a dynamic to maybe think about if they get even further into the tournament.
Absolutely. But now we have the draft. SK Avarosa are going to be present on the blue side with Eterna on the red side. First ban's already coming out. Nico is not going to see the light of day. We saw that Virtuoso was incredible on that Nico, alongside the Jarvan, alongside the LeBlanc, are going to round up the first round of bans for SK.
I'm kind of weirded out that Delegate didn't get the ban, except for the Jarvan, because, you know, there are so many jungle power picks right now, and she's very good at dictating the pace, so I would expect to just remove some of those easy pickings. But if you wanna just first pick that way, you wanna get some of the picks that punish him in lane out. So LeBlanc, a very nice takeaway from Eterna. You just slam in that way, and you still keep your cards very close to your chest, because you don't really show anything. Quay is such a versatile champion.
I was watching the LEC broadcast yesterday, and there they were also really hyped about the Yone pick. And I must say, the way that Poby, the way that Poby showed that he can just easily hit those combos, and this champion with the buffs, how well it just scales into the later stages now as well, like it didn't really do before, is really insane. And I really like, therefore, the meta take of SK Avarosa, even though Wei has been really popular in EEC back then as well, just as a control mage or like as an artillery mage pick. Right now it's better than it was before, and therefore it doesn't even surprise me. It's like a must pick if you can get the situation right.
And we've already seen in past weeks that Sashi is an incredible player with Yone in her hands. Now the response from SK Avarosa is going to be on the Vi. This kind of starts dictating an all-in pace from SK Avarosa versus a scaling composition from Eterna. You want to shut them down as fast as you can.
I mean, yeah, and you have the tools right now. You do have so much engage and follow-up to that engage that maybe except C with the Sivir, who else can escape? You don't have a spell shield. No, never mind, there's a Yone as well. Now
you have the Yone, now you have the Maokai as well.
Yeah, now that my brain started actually working, I think that you do have a lot of engaged tools, and if you catch Eterna unaware or like not ready, you can punish them heavily, and then anyone seeing, I don't know, LCK finals early, you can see how that can actually snowball the game. But the moment you do that and Eterna are ready to answer, there's so many zoning and disengaged tools that you have to layer all of your battons for just one player, and there are at least one more carry right now already that is ready to punish you.
We head into the second rotation of bans as well. SK Avarosa decide to focus a little bit on the top side. You want to have that invested as healthy as it can be on top, while on the bottom side, well, you just want to have Sivir being able to farm. You don't want to have too much pressure on her, so you're taking away the AD carries, maybe even the supports that can really punish an early pick Sivir on a one game.
Okay, so like I was wondering like what direction Eterna is going to aim their bans on, because if I remember correctly, yeah, of course, but like SK Avarosa in their very first game of the season now, when they played against Vitality Rising Beast, Miela had an insane performance on the Lethality Varus. Like everyone thought that this pick should have been done in the duster, not really viable anymore. She showed that picking Hubris on this champion can make it snowball completely out of control, and I already see like a sort of a setup in combination with a way that you can play an insane sieging composition, and then when the enemy health bars are low enough, you can just engage with the Mbessa and see if you can now finish off the low health bars you've created in the first place. It is a little bit of a tricky composition to play out into what Eterna has already drafted, because they basically have a lot of go buttons and there isn't a lot of control in taking the siege or maybe protecting your own backline. But if you want to go into a direction like that, Miela's Varus is something to be noted of, and I'm wondering whether they have the confidence to pick it up in a situation as this as well.
Well, I am seeing the Xayah and Rakana are also open.
Makes
This
sense.
yeah, it makes perfect sense. It's a scaling champion that also kind of matches the scaling of Sivir, but I still have the question on the Eterna side: is it Maokai going into the jungle, or is that going into the support role? Because we've been seeing Maokai shuffle around a little bit, but you know, jungle has been the primary role, right?
I mean, jungle is better because Maokai thrives off gold, right? He likes getting that little bit of AP in the start and then going for full tank, and you can really do both of those from just the support funding. In the support you get 1.5 item and that's all, so suddenly you're not a tank, you can only engage from afar, so you're kind of a weird gardener spreading the saplings all around the bushes. Now, I understand the Xayah, but I'm not so happy with the Xayah because she needs time and space, and she needs the enemy team to just run into her, and Eterna has the option to never do that. Sivir matches the range, Maokai can engage from afar, K'Sante can just stand there, create space and not really pull the trigger, and when you pull the trigger, you pull it with your ultimate, so you kind of have to force either somebody getting stuck by that or the Xayah ultimate, and that's a great pull down, and then everyone else can just pull the trigger. Yone ult, K'Sante ult, Renata ult, especially the Renata Maokai ult combo, if you do it at a 45 degrees angle, it's so oppressive.
We agree with that. Final thoughts on this last pick on Renata Glasgow, I am.
I completely agree here with Rev. I feel like the composition for Eterna is just really well balanced out, and at first there was the possibility for SK Avarosa to have this maybe form of a sieging comp with a lot of backline access on towards the Sivir. Now it feels like it's going to be a little more difficult since there's no one except for the Ambassador to jump in with the Vi, but like League of Legends, a draft is one thing, but the execution is part number 2. So we'll see whether that happens or not.
Yeah, we're going to see going on to Cass. We're going to throw the Luna and Temporal to bring you the action to see who's going to take on this best of 1 match.
Thank you so much, ACSIM and Rev, for breaking down that draft and giving us a little bit of a rundown ahead of this game. Hello everybody, my name is Luna. I'm joined by Temporal, as you just heard. Now, Tom, how are you feeling looking towards this this match, based on those drafts and based on what we know of the players?
I'm getting the feeling it's going to be a bit of a bloodbath. I agree with you. We were yammering away. There were some odd opportunities taken. Eterna players are playing at like 5 a.m. So good morning, folks. How you doing? And yeah, it's a good time. I'm thinking there's going to be a little bit more PvP than you'd expect out of a Sivir lane when you do have Renata and you can start to push into the opponents. You've used the R5 on the support. It's not going to be like the go for 40 minutes, just absolutely single game plan angle. Quite excited to see.
Yeah, definitely should be a bit more of a brawl towards that bottom side, and we'll see if that does come to light, especially into a lane like Xayah Khan that are known for being able to hold their own in that 2v2. Looking across the map as a whole, we saw very early mid lane picks come in. The Hui is something we've seen rise in priority in recent memory for the early pick rotation, but the immediate Yone match shows a lot of confidence coming out on the side of Eterna.
So much. The NLC RPS is heading towards its playoffs, which we've been doing this last week, and Hui has been like numero uno for every non-UK team, which has just been an absolute scene just to see it blue one to every game, and the answer generally has been to ban it away, because it has such a massive presence in this mid lane, and if your jungler is not attacking the Hui, not taking them down as fast as possible, it's generally been a huge issue.
Certainly has, and as we get ready, you can see we're looking across the rift, the dragons, the frogs, the teams aside, we get into game number 1 of the LGC Week 2 Day 2 games. SK Avarosa on the blue side, Eterna on the red. The drafts have been done. We are on the rift, and it's just going to be interesting to see if anything happens in the early stages, especially with some of the tools that you've got.
For sure, for sure. We're not going to see anything crazy at level 1. I do like the delayed recall here to check whether anyone is going to rush forwards to get this ward down on the Raptors. Apollonia, just in position, just thinking about it. And if you do have that early information on where the Maokai could be, does allow you to evade that gank. Hui wants to get as far into the game as he can. Just wave clearing, just pushing things around. You're going to have this late invade, gets the ward, walks off nice and easy. If we zoom out slightly, we've already got a fair number of games in this group, Luna. And I think this one, potentially the first place decider. Eterna, 2-0 so far, but SK Avarosa have had, I think, a slightly better tournament than we can give their scoreline credit for, only losing to the mighty Solari.
It's a team that, as we saw when looking at EEC just past, were very, very strong in their own right. So this definitely could be a battle for the top of the group. That being said, we are looking forward towards this matchup in particular, and as the desk mentioned, there's a couple of players playing from NA on the side of Eterna now. Ping on tier is not going to be as bad as if you're playing on the EUS live servers, but it definitely could play a factor.
Ah, we're not too worried, are they? I think the 4 AM start's going to put more brain lag on than server lag for sure.
I've just noticed, by the way, a ward placed by the Gromp in the early stages by the bot lane of SK Avarosa. So really doing their best to just make sure they're tracking on the Delicate.
Yeah, it's a bit more extended than maybe like behind Wolves, in that it might catch Delicate here, and it like will if they full clear, so it's like a nice confirmation step, but it's right at the end of that sort of sequence, so we're not having to infer very much. Pings onto the blue buff. I'm not sure if that ward's going to time out. We'll have to see.
That we will. We see SK Avarosa with pressure in both bot and mid. Could be the first to move if a play happens in the bottom side jungle here.
Oh, Kiana.
Ooh, Kiana is going to step up, going to get caught by the handshake. Avarosa and C getting a lot of damage down. But the Gleaming Quill will do some work now. Does look like that blue buff went across to the side of Delicate as Tread now just going back towards her own jungle.
A bit rough to lose the heals so early on in this bottom lane, while the Rakan will provide so much assistance to the Vi later on. Not having a dive alone is a huge benefit to this champion. In lane, Renata will give you the run round, and Virtuosa, despite also being all the way out there in North America, just starting to command the bottom lane.
Yeah, and we saw a couple of clips from the last time Eterna played just before this game started, and Virtuosa on that Nico was finding a lot of very good engage angles. The Renata not quite so good at finding outright engages, but definitely can make or break fights with that hostile takeover. So having a good start to this game, it sets a good precedent for the rest of the game to come.
Yeah, absolutely. We've not seen much punishment in mid. The Yone is not so fast in his countering of Hui. He's going to have to sort of wombo combo every time Hui appears on the screen later on. So it's also going to be a question of where the Hui assigns himself to side lanes, where he moves away, as eventually Xayah and Rakan will move up into mid. After our lane swaps and after Grubs go down, maybe a few more minutes. At this stage, the only thing I'm thinking about, neither team rushing towards Dragon for spawn. This is a pattern we've seen more and more over the current patches. It's not really worth going in there for Grubs. Before Grubs, rather. As you maybe want the trade. You maybe want your opponent to not give you any grief early on and start to snowball out of control.
Yeah, if you can avoid that, you absolutely will, as we now see a little bit more punishment coming on to Sashi in this mid lane. Trez going back, well, both Trez and Delicate going back towards their full clears here.
Apollonia
Sashi
just
going very low.
applying the pressure evenly. Really exciting to see on this mid lane. And we'll keep an eye on it. The fleet footwork clearly not enough for Sashi, just having to dip, dive, duck, and dodge out of there.
Just about able to step away from that incoming severing bolt. Able to escape near certain death for now.
Right. I like this from Trez. Going for the dragon. Could have collected your own raptors on the way down, but if you're confident that mid is so far ahead, you've not given Sashi a chance to recall and teleport in. Apollonia still just holding a little bit of mana so you can walk into the river and dissuade a jungler from moving forwards. This is a nice safe timing, and it's not conflicting with the grubs. So it's potentially even more winning when you are able to go and contest that next objective. Completely scot-free. Delicate does have a slight CS lead for it, but I think Trez will be happy assisting the rest of the team.
Yeah, more than happy to pick up, especially an early Mountain Dragon into a composition like what Eterna has. As much damage as you can mitigate as possible, definitely going to bode well for you.
I do love not giving Kazante just a decent chunk of bonus damage as well. Thanks, Mountain Dragon.
Yes.
Love that from you.
It's very, very nice indeed. Sashi able to get that reset off and teleport back in, as has Apollonia now. So we might see a little bit more trading come forward in this mid lane, as Sashi with that Vamp Scepter can sustain through the damage, but Apollonia does a little bit better.
Able to break the freeze in bot lane Eterna, get the minion wave under the tower. And Kiana might be inviting a fight here, but Trez definitely wants to go back. We're going to see the item completion for the tunneler. 1 minute out on the grubs. I nearly always call them Krogs. There's just too many Uggs on the map. That's
Too many Uggs.
That's not the shoes of choice, right?
Then you've got
Not
the big Uggs and the little Uggs.
Yeah. The fur-lined Uggs. I don't know how any of this works. Instead, gonna arrive on time at this objective, so it's Delicate after picking up this red buff. About the Maokai in current year, still setting up for a whole bunch of magic damage, which Eterna don't have a lot of, so maybe after the Leandries wouldn't mind seeing like a move into a Dead Man's Plate as an option if you're hunting down Apollonia, but generally more tanky options rather than the Bloodletters, as I don't think you need to be the poke machine. It has to be all in from Eterna in the small unit fights. And the first one that both teams are going to attend, only 10 seconds away.
And it is, and we can see the lane swap come in from both sides. This should be at most a 4v4. Teleport not available for either Lysia or Starry on these, down towards that bottom side.
Oh,
Trez going to try and get some vision down. Is going to get walked into by Virtuosa. Takes the handshake, which cancels away on the Vault Breaker as well. Delicate is just hovering in this tri-brush for now. Apollonia already making a move from the mid lane as Miela now has to try and walk in under a little bit of pressure. Going to tank up that Boomerang Blade. As Sashi going to get caught out by the Season. This is the Flash Fear coming in from Apollonia. In comes the Spiraling Despair. And we'll see if that's enough. It's not quite. Miela on the backside going to get caught up by everything else. Kiana going to tank up one of those roots as well. There is no Featherstorm left on this Xayah now, though. So if you wanted to continue to aggress, you could. And goes Kiana finds knock onto 2, and Trez follows suit. Virtuosa at the back of the fight, and Delicate going a little below. C has no mana and has to start to reset as well. One of the grubs has gone down. Didn't quite see which way it went. It did go across to SK Avarosa, so Eterna, they want to stick around for a little bit longer, but their mid laner is only just returning. It is now 1 apiece. And with Trez having Smite, it will be 2-1 in favour of SK Avarosa, and the second notch on the feat of monster slaying.
They're just able to make that work through missing all of their ultimates, through missing all of their summoner spells, with Trez and Kiana coming forwards. That is still a massive threat at this stage in the game. That would have cost C or Virtuosa's flash should they have got caught in a slightly worse angle in the same position with the same ultimates. So with that in mind, Eterna have a slight advantage at this next dragon, where they will have more advanced summoner spells, but they pay for it with the grubs going over to SK Avarosa.
And that is a little bit scary, right? I mean, Hui, Xayah, and Bessa, they're no slouch at knocking these towers down, and while it's small solace, they don't have the mites to assist them, it's still a lot of extra damage coming in.
Yeah, it's a proper bonus. You know, it's nice that 2 is the breakpoint. I didn't really enjoy the year of having to fight grubs twice, and like a net 1 is the difference. Instead now, just having the advantage just means slightly more, and we are 1 step away. Well, rather 1 step closer to monster slaying. Like, I don't know in my mind why I thought 3 kills apiece had gone down already. Still completely clean at 10 minutes. We're cosplaying the LCK from this morning.
A much slower pace in terms of the fights. Only really 1 big fight so far, and not a huge amount of lethal trading going on in lanes either. Of course, Sashi coming close in the earlier stages, but the more items that the Shione gets, the harder it'll be for Apollonia to really punish that. Dragon up in 20 seconds, and both junglers are on towards the bottom side. Trez about to be spotted on a ward on the Raptor camp as Delicate is looking just to cover in the mid lane, maybe look for a bit of a pick. Kiana links up with Trez, Virtuosa and Sia moving up the river. Delicate goes in, finds the Nature's Grasp onto Trez, and then gets locked up by everything else. In comes the hostile takeover, layered with the fate sealed, and it's 2 very swift kills going across to Eterna from 0 to 20 in the span of a split second.
It's an easy takedown with the Renata ult. The hostile takeover just makes what should be pretty even absolutely brutal. No flashes available for SK Avarosa because they spent all of their summoner spell on top of those grubs, not respecting the difference, not respecting the ultimate out of the Renata. They fall down nice and quick, and that is an Infernal Dragon over to Eterna as they even it up 1-1.
More than happy to be in that position as well, and with 1 kill away from the feat of warfare as well. You imagine that Eterna sitting very happy in the situation they find themselves in. Of course, the kills going across to Delicate and Virtuosa could have been slightly better on Sashi or C, but you're not going to complain at this stage in the game for picking up that little bit of extra gold.
Absolutely not. I think Eterna will just be happy to be 1 step away from the feat of warfare, which won't be a struggle at all. So, starting this one off, the setup is slightly different. Both teams have TP, so you can walk in, you can call for your teleport before your opponent potentially, but it is all easily blown apart. Eterna still holding massive numbers of cooldowns, and the first exploratory group from SK into the river are on vision, and easily taken back by Renata.
Very, very nicely played fight by the side of Eterna. So we see a little bit of an invade coming in on towards the bottom side from Trez, linked up with Kiana. Apollonia hovering as well. The pressure that Hui affords really showing its depth here, as Apollonia is just constantly out of lane. Touched on this in the pre-show. Apollonia likes to be more roaming, has higher kill participation, slightly lower CS numbers, and still sitting on a slight lead over her direct number. Lysia going to be run down by Delicate and Starry in the top side. That all-out was used and is about to run out. In comes the Nature's Grasp, does tag, but with the Eclipse completed, Lysia might be quite happy here. Does get rooted up and knocked back by the Rumble Smash again. Sashi going to go in, and this might just get donated. There is no public to witness an execution as Lysia drops, and the feat of warfare is claimed by Eterna.
Apollonia not able to be the rescuing grace there. Trez was also slightly too far away. 3-0 over to Eterna. Not a bad start at all. Still think they've got a little bit of work to do with the composition, but clearly they're slightly winning bot lane, slightly winning top lane, and now a balancing force in mid where Apollonia hasn't been able to trade back on kills. Actually the beneficiary of Virtuosa's early play in front of the dragon and this pick out onto the top laner will start to get the Yone rolling pretty quickly.
Certainly will. I'd be interested to see if she can complete that Blade of the Ruin King here on this reset. Likely very close. It's been a while.
Yeah,
full Blade of the Ruin King completed. That is first items in for every single member of Eterna.
Slightly ahead of what we'd expect. Hopefully Apollonia able to get the Blackfire Torch here, but it's rough to see someone who's sort of dominated the lane not be able to carry it forwards just off the back of a few picks. Looking at the Rift Herald coming up in 30 seconds, so bot lane is up and across the map to clear out mid waves. Apollonia does have the teleport, so we'll match Star in the bottom side. We'll see here how Sashi does up against Lysia. Slight XP lead, and generally, Yone can be a bit mean in the side lane.
Certainly can, although Apollonia are going to be more than happy to go up against the Cassante. Not as mobile as the Yone. Is Miela just going to try and get a little bit of poke down in the mid side. Trez is here. In goes Kiana, finds the knock up. Quickness comes down, charms up onto 2. Virtuosa does get the bailout down, but will tick down in the end. Hostile taking an attack on a Delicate, knocks Trez back into team, flashes away and gets out on an inch of health. Never mind, in goes Sashi with the fate sealed and finds it with a barely off the back of the Q2 there. Very, very even trade. But you got to imagine it favors SK Avarosa ever so slightly for getting one back on the board.
Just so for using one less teleport, but it's more trades again. At least they managed to pick up a kill this time. We'll see if Trez is able to get a little tankier off that. We didn't have the big Sundered Sky moment where they were able to hold on at low health for the longest time. Instead, just falling down a little bit too fast. Eterna are going to be happy to carry on the bloodshed, and I think we'll move straight back onto the objective. SK Avarosa now have a difficult decision. Without the Feathers Fly, without the Hui ultimate, are they going to move forwards? Are they going to be able to pick someone out with just cease and desist and a public execution? It's a difficult call.
A lot of damage coming down to Miela from this boomerang blade now. Getting tagged by both parts of it is dangerous, and with the Herald up and available, as you mentioned, without these big ultimates, no quickness, no Spiraling Despair, no Feather Storm, it's very dangerous to try and fight. That being said, only the all-out available on the other side is Trez now. Going to get caught up by Sashi, rooted it up. In comes public execution, will suppress up Sashi for now. Cease and desist going to land as well. The snapback going to be forced through CC, but a Q3 is available.
Oh, no.
Doesn't find onto Trez, but does find onto Lysia. But with too much health, they're not going to commit, and it will just push Trez away, giving Eterna the opening for the Herald.
Qiyana just gets away there in the background as well. Had to delay the remainder of Eterna on their approach to the top side. So while it is no takedowns over to Eterna right here, it is unfortunately the seeding of this objective, and they are going to be slightly slow onto this dragon as well should they choose to wrap back round. They've got to push mid-wave once again, so there is no hope of an immediate cross map. Looking at the next few minutes, Eterna looking pretty good in these team fights. I think you can just keep up the drum with objectives, show up to this dragon after pushing out mid. Oh, never mind, they're going to recall C, who's potentially on the way to an Infinity Edge.
Not quite. He's going to stick around for now. Miela get comes down behind the dragon. We've seen this song and dance numerous times over the course. As in comes the On the Hunt. A good handshake locks Qiyana up, and there's no quickness to be had. Monster Slaying will go across to SK Avarosa in the meantime, as the feathers are forced to fly once again. But Starry says not today, Miela. As down goes the lovers duo, as Eterna find two more.
It's the right call. Don't recall your AD carry. You know, they might be sitting on a whole bunch of gold, but this is the team fight composition of the moment. SK Avarosa haven't got their pick plus Hui combo online just yet. It is not rolling in a way that Eterna can't rock up to a fight in any engage. Immediately reversed.
Starry looking out towards the bot side. Gonna be forced to flash away here after going in. Apollonia still very healthy. Bailout has been used, but Starry does get caught up, and Shutdown goes across to Apollonia, but mana is running low for this Hui now. Delicate able to flash out and cancel onto the grand entrance, but another auto will take her down. Qiyana going to pocket that one as Virtuosa forced to flash away from Trez here. Just going to use that shock blast there. Or shock wave. Or whatever the VIE is called. There's too many shock abilities in the game. Shock Blast is Jay, Shock Wave is Oriana, neither of them are Vi.
Don't you know all of Vi's ability names, Luna? It's Moving Punch, Punch 3, and Punch Again. Come on now. Like, not able to complete Eterna. Unfortunately, overstaying a little bit do give a reasonable amount of gold. It's still a nice, healthy 3,000 gold lead at only 18 minutes. So it is a reasonable lead. Unfortunately, losing a little bit of it. I think staying under the tower is a bit greedy. You've got your extra win after you were trying to base your AD carry. It's time to go home.
That it is, and off the back of that dragon fight, the mid lane tier 1 did fall in favor of Eterna, and that secures feats for them. It's just a bit unfortunate timing.
Oh dear, Lysia. Oh
on top
dear.
side, Virtuosa and C are here as well. On the Hunt has been popped once again. A teleport coming into the tower as C is just trying to rinse it. Not quite going to do it just yet. Down it goes as Delicate comes in with the Nature's Grasp. Gets fit away by Apollonia, and Qiyana has to jump away, but 5 members strong in the top side, not losing a single member. Eterna are eternal in this game.
It's looking good so far. It's looking real confident. Not a whole lot up outside of the Articon, so they're controlling the right side of the map here. Eterna just need to chill. The team fight's not quite here. You don't have the Yone quite yet in position. In fact, they're going to walk back down. So maybe not an immediate take on the Articon. I think it's time to slow things down. Just show up to the objectives, rinse and repeat in SK Avarosa. Unless you get a massive pick onto someone who cannot be held up by the Renata Glass, it's going to be just fine.
Let SK Avarosa run themselves ragged, trying to match at objectives. Sashi going to push on for this tier 1 in the bottom side as we look across the gold leads individually. For 800 for Starry, 200 for Delicate, thinking about 800 for Sashi as well, but the AD carry difference is what truly matters, about 1.4 thousand in favor of C over Miela. And Sivir with gold is a terrifying prospect, sitting at 2 items. Ricochet's gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's brutal to just even be on a minion wave right now. So difficult. SK, they do have to find this pick of absolute destiny if they're gonna be able to fight back against Eterna. Control over the Archon right now. Starry's gonna start that one up with not a lot else on the map. There shouldn't really be a contest here. Eterna can look forwards to the Dragon number 4 in just a minute's time. SK are pinging forwards, but this is so risky.
It is Trez. Going to be kept out by Starry and Sashi for now. Afghanic's just going to go across. You can see they're still rotating members up. They might be looking for something on the out, but the resistance shred would have worn off by now. Is Sashi going forwards onto Trez for a little bit of poke? There's still a tier 1 tower.
This needs to stop. This needs to stop.
Does.
Lizzie had the right idea. Like, push mid wave. Like, what are we going to do here?
Look for the top lane tier 1, it would seem, as a cease and desist onto Sashi, into the Spiraling Despair, into a cease and desist, and suddenly 2 members are locked up for too long. Miela now going to get taken over the wall by the All Out, but a beautiful pullback allows Kiana to pick that one up, but C has already found 2. Trez and Miela already fallen. Apollonia, the other double kill in this fight. It will just be traded 3 for 2 in favor of SK Avarosa, and that top lane tier 1 may finally be their prize.
It's a nice prize. Unfortunately, this fight isn't as winning as it seems. So SK go underneath. They do manage to get takedowns. Nice pick onto the Yone, which has got to feel good, right, Luna? Except, even though Sashi goes down, C eventually arrives because we can't take through that many members of Eterna that quickly. Has the cover from Virtuosa. I think with a little more confidence, C could have gone for more here. However, they've made the right call. That is a Sivir with all cooldowns available, bar the ultimate, in front of this dragon, and they can take it before junglers are even back out on the map. And even if you want to go for a cheeky dive on Sivir right now, if you want to set something up, she's got all the tools available. Unassailable is C on this Sivir.
Most certainly is. All eyes are on this AD carry in this game. Really, the shining light of Eterna so far has picked up so much from these fights, has such a big lead over her direct number. Well, the rest of the team is doing incredibly well in their own right. C is able to control these fights as a Fate Sealed going to come out from Sashi there as Trez goes in with the Vault Breaker. Apollonia is here as well. Sashi will just fall. Snap back, going to force her back eventually, but Apollonia just going to step up onto a rampage. And I think that lead that Sashi had over Apollonia is ever so quickly shrinking.
The Yone not able to make it in the sides. I think it's a slightly expensive kill with Apollonia teleporting away after to go and clean up the wave. But it's still not the end of the world. The way that we'd sort of highlighted as not being able to keep the Yone down in the mid game. As the late game approaches, starting to reclaim some of that title. 4-0 and 2 items through. I think with the Bloodletters, we'll start to see a whole bunch of damage be on C, and especially Delicate as they come forwards to start these fights to move around Apollonia and try and make sure the Hui has multiple targets that can't be overlapped, can't be AoE'd, which is the strength we saw on that top dive when you do layer multiple of Hui's abilities on top. The damage potential, the execute potential from Spiraling Despair just gets a little bit out of hand.
Yeah, definitely does.
Oh, gets the Zhonya's as well now. Slightly safer in the setup.
Does mean that the catching on to this carry does get a little bit harder, because Zhonya's can giveth, but can also taketh away.
It's a struggle, isn't it? Slightly less damage, but yeah, like the safety at a cost. Is that slight at me for my jungle games? Duo Q with you? It's very fair if it is.
No, just
I'm not the best
as a
Zhonya's
Hui player
person.
myself, I know just how damning that item can be if you end up using it and then everybody around you dies and you just kind of sat there waiting. Like,
yes, I'm safe for now.
Especially with Apollonia being the one with all the most, if not all of the gold at this point, as well as a TP coming in here.
Here we go,
from
Baron
Sashi.
setup. Eterna are this far ahead. They should be moving on the major objective. Apollonia spent their TP after the last winning play from SK Avarosa, so this will go unanswered from the strongest part of Avarosa.
It will. Kiana, Miela, and Trez all looking. Lizzie's coming around on the side. Sashi not going to be able to find onto Miela, but does find onto Kiana. And the Blade Caller doesn't tag onto anybody. That snapback, beautiful. Trez is absolutely annihilated on the other side. Apollonia finally joins, but a beautiful flash handshake into the hostile takeover will lock Kiana up, and the backline of this fight is kept miles and miles away as Lizia falls in front of the pit. The Baron has already gone down, and all the carries can do is run for the hills and hope. Bit of a fear coming in onto C means that Apollonia won't take too much more damage, but a siege can truly start to begin.
It's a real shame for SK Avarosa. This approach comp was really cool. The pick idea was there. A few times it executed just fine. But Eterna, with the big team fight composition, with this Sivir rolling forwards with a winning R5 support pick, has been the story of this game. They will once again invite a massive team fight, be the benefit of it, grab the Baron before their opponent can respond. And this is starting to look pretty tidy, Luna. A 5,000 gold lead. Nearly 6. Can't even count it. It's so large. This dragon coming up is a must fight, and with the Baron out on the map, SK Avarosa are going to struggle to stay an extended period in the river.
Yeah, they will. It's going to be soul point either way it goes. Does seem like Avarosa are a little scared. Rightfully so, of stepping too far out. With these waves being empowered and the wave clear being a little too far behind. Of course, the Xayah sitting at 2 items, the Hui at 3. You don't want the Hui to be clearing the waves too much. That mana will be oh so important for a coming fight. They're sending Apollonia top. I don't think this is a contest coming in from Avarosa.
No, they've got one more. They've got one more before Elder if they can hold on that long. So instead, just gonna spread out on side lanes. Not sure Lizia can keep up with Sashi down here right now. So this tier 2 tower will come under siege. That's nearly certainly already gone with an attack onto the tier 3 due seconds later.
That it is, and with the mid lane inhibitor open as well. It is a fight from 2 fronts for the side of SK Avarosa.
Kiana slightly far forwards. You got to be careful when fishing for a pick that you're not absolutely vulnerable yourself. They'll just hold on for now.
Chip damage coming in from C here. These boomerang blades are tagging onto Apollonia like magnets. He's going to go a little bit wide, but this tower, it's just going to go down slowly but surely as the cannon fires away. Starry in the mid lane going to get caught up by the Blade Caller. In comes Sashi though, backed up by a Nature's Grasp. Featherstorm used once again as Trez is immediately blown up in the front side of the fight. Lizia has to jump away, and one inhibitor falls. A second surely follows, and this could be game ending as Eterna look to make the kill shot. Sashi looking onto Lizia, gonna find the execute with the snapback. The soul unbound, unbinds Lizia from this mortal plane. Looking onto Apollonia, the Zhonya's giveth, and it taketh away two. Sashi finds another, able to not quite dodge away from the tower there. Miela finds Delicate as well. It's a 3-on-2 as Miela looks to do what she can, but it's not enough. C is too strong, and Eterna remain eternal in this group and advance to 3-0.
Congratulations, Eterna, undisputed at the top of this group. Now not just qualified for the next stage of the tournament, but qualified in first place. And SK fall down behind Solari that they lost to earlier in the tournament. Bit of a struggle. I think we saw the moments of what they wanted to do, and yeah, I think it's slightly back to drawing board. Maybe a slightly different bot lane setup if you respect the R5 support, but it's the way the cookie crumbles. They tried quite hard.
They certainly did, and unfortunately situations like that do happen. Eterna, they really showed up in this game. First couple of objectives went the way of SK Avarosa, but after that point everything was coming up Eterna. C and Sashi putting on carry performances of possibly all time in such a short game, and the rest of the team supporting them absolutely beautifully. Any closing thoughts on this game, Temporal?
Well, it seems like everyone is through to the next stage anyway, because Rising Bees did fall down a little bit too hard, already at a 0-3 record, unfortunately. So, instead, we go on to the game to watch.
We do. Now we're going to throw to a quick break. When we come back, the desk will be ready to set that one up for us and take us on into our second game of the day.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, this time for the interview table with none other than the top laner for Eterna, Story. First and foremost, it is a pleasure to have you here. You look fantastic.
Pleasure to be here.
Welcome
Thank
to
you.
the interview. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I have like a little bit of a friendly like rivalry. It's not that serious. We just like banter in DMs a little bit with the enemy jungler. So I'm really glad that we came out on top so decisively.